Hello, in this video I will be going over IXL's Algebra 1, or Level K, BB.6, solve quadratic equations using square roots. So the first thing that you need to know is when you take the square root of a positive number, the square root of a positive number you will have two real solutions. One solution is positive, one solution is negative. So some examples of that would be something like x squared equals 100. The opposite of a square, or the exponent of 2, is the square root. So to undo a square, you take the square root. So your answer here would be x equals 10 and x equals negative 10. Why? Well, 10 times 10 is 100. Negative 10 times negative 10 is also 100. Another example, f squared equals 144. Take the square root. F equals 12. F equals negative 12. 12 times 12 is 144. Negative 12 times negative 12 is 144. Let's say we have a fraction. Y squared equals 9 over 16. So if I take the square root of 9 over 16, it would be the same thing as y equals the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 16. And I know that the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 16 is 4. But you would also have y equals negative 3 over 4. Okay? So those would be your answers. It's possible that you might have to simplify even more if possible. Okay, so square root, the answer of a square root of a positive number is two real solutions. One solution is positive, one solution is negative. Say we have the square root of 0. Okay, if we have the square root of 0, we have one solution. And that solution is 0. So what do I mean? Well, I mean if you have x squared equals 0, we take the square root. X equals 0. It's the only thing it can be. 0 cannot be positive, 0 cannot be negative. A similar question you might see is f squared minus 1 equals 1. So here we would have to, let me make that a negative 1. here we would have to add 1. Those cancel. And if we add 1, we would get f squared equals 0. Take the square root, and f equals 0. Okay, so if whatever squared equals 0, the answer is one solution, which happens to be 0. And lastly, you will see the square root of a negative number. And that would be no real solutions. So if you had something like x squared equals negative 81, you could take the square root, and for this IXL, we have no real solutions. So there would be no solution. You might also see something like t squared plus 81 equals 80. So here you would subtract 81, those cancel. T squared equals negative 1. Take the square root. I have negative 1. That is no solution. Okay. So what this IXL comes down to is you either find 2 solutions. So you take the square root of a perfect square, say it's 81, 144, 256, 4, 9, 1, what have you, and you give a positive and a negative answer. The second option is you take the square root of 0 somehow. It is one solution. It's always one solution, and that solution is 0. And lastly, you might have to take the square root of a negative number. If that's the case, it's no real solutions. And that would be your answer. Just no solution, no solution. If you're taking the square root of a negative, it's no solution. If you take a square root of a positive number, 2 real solutions. If you take the square root of 0, you have one solution. That's all for this video. Good luck.